Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to A Raisin in the Sun. Specifically, we are on assignment number 7. I'm going to read the first half of assignment number 7. You're going to answer the first set of questions from assignment number 7, roughly about half of them. Now, when we left off yesterday, the Youngers had a very disturbing visitor, and it came right on the heels of Walter having his dream back when Mama gave him the money, the $6,500. And we haven't seen Walter happy this entire play. And he was beyond happy. He was elated, right? He was dancing with his wife. He was playing with his sister in a happy and joking type of manner. Why? Because he had his dreams back. He had a future. He had something that he could look forward to. He believed that he was going to be able to become successful and, more importantly, have self-respect, right? Not just be respected by people in the community, but be able to respect himself for the first time in his life. And now he feels that way. And then, of course, ding dong, here comes Carl Linder from the Clybourne Park Improvement Association, or the Welcoming Committee. He's certainly not on the Welcoming Committee because he is not here to welcome anybody. In fact, he threatened the Youngers without actually threatening them, correct? He did not say, you're going to get bombed if you come out here, but he did say, haven't you heard about all the things that have happened to people? Do you want to put yourself in that position that something like that might happen to you? He even said at some point, what did he say? What do you think you're going to gain by moving into a neighborhood where you just aren't wanted and where some elements, people can get awful worked up when they feel that their whole way of life and everything they've ever worked for is threatened. So what he's saying to them is, why would you come into a place where some people are not going to like it and they can get awful worked up when they feel their whole way of life and everything they've ever worked for is threatened? Which is very ironic, because how does the Youngers moving into their neighborhood threaten them? I mean, clearly they do not, but this is the racism and the prejudice that, people were dealing with, Black people were dealing with in the 1940s and 50s. He said a lot of other really terrible things. But you've got to admit that a man, right or wrong, has the right to want to have the neighborhood he lives in a kind of way. Listen to what he said, that a man, right or wrong, has the right to want to have the neighborhood he lives in a certain kind of way. Well, what about Walter Lee? Is he not a man? Does he not get to live in a neighborhood the way he wants to live in it? So does he not count in the scheme of things to Mr. Linder? And the answer is he doesn't. I don't think he believes that the Youngers are equal to them. He doesn't think they have the right to live near them. I don't think he thinks Walter is a man. There's more. And at the moment, the overwhelming majority of our people out there feel that people get along better, take more of a common interest in the life of the community when they share a common background. Now, hilarious. He then went and said, I want you to believe me. And I mean hilarious in a sarcastic way. Of course, this is not funny. This is awful. I want you to believe me when I tell you that race prejudice simply doesn't enter into it. So in one sentence, he says, we don't want you because you're not like everybody else. And then in his next sentence, he says, I want you to believe me that race prejudice simply doesn't answer into it. So what is it that's different about the Youngers if it's not their race? Of course, we know the answer. There is no other answer. So this man knows what he is doing is wrong, but he's saying it anyway. And then he's defending himself and saying, I'm not really doing what I'm doing, which shows you just how wrong he knows he is. It is a matter of the people of Clybourne Park believing rightly or wrongly, as I say. See, look at that. He even says rightly or wrongly. So he's admitting that what they're doing is wrong. That for the happiness of all concerned, that our Negro families are happier when they live in their own communities. So he just sat there and said, we would be happier if you don't move in, and you would be happier if you don't move in. Now, why would they be happier to move into a poorer neighborhood? Because remember, we found out that the Black neighborhoods that are set up for the Black people to buy their homes in, the homes are run down, they're more expensive, they're farther from the city, and the neighborhoods just aren't as nice. And of course, Benita, gotta love her, said, this, my friends, is the Welcoming Committee. And then, of course, the last thing that he did before he left is he offered them money. And you gotta love the fact that Walter does not even listen to his terms. He says, get out of my house, man, which was awesome. And then, of course, Benita said 30 pieces and not a coin less, which was her referring to the fact that this man is still acting as if the Youngers are a slave family and they can be purchased and told where to go and how to live. Very upsetting. So Linder leaves unhappily because they told him to get out. And that is, of course, when Mama walks in. And that is where we are picking up today. So Mama walks in and says, Well, all this packing got done since, with this, all the packing that got done since I left out here this morning, I testify before God that my children got all the energy of the day. What time the moving men do? So Mama doesn't even know that this occurred. She was not here for this meeting, and they are going to let her know. Now, remember, they're supposed to move today. In fact, Benita answers, 4 o'clock. You had a caller, Mama. She is smiling teasingly. Mama, sure enough, who? Benita, her arms folded saucily. The welcoming committee. Now, Walter and Ruth giggle. I've mentioned this yesterday. Walter and Ruth and Benita do not find this funny. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's completely disturbing to have been told that you're not good enough to live with other people, with other Americans, that you're not good enough to be in my neighborhood, that you threaten our way of life, that if you do, you might possibly get bombed out, burned or hurt or intimidated in some way. So this is not funny. So why are Walter and Benita giggling? Well, one, because they're making a joke with Mama and they're being sarcastic and saying that the welcoming, they are being sarcastic about the fact of the total irony that this man comes on the welcoming committee and he did not come here to welcome them at all. In fact, he came here to tell them not to come. Beneath her arms folded saucily, the welcoming committee. Walter and Ruth giggle. Mama innocently, who? Beneath her, the welcoming committee. They said they're sure glad to see you when you get there. Walter devilishly, yeah, they said they can't hardly wait to see your face. Laughter. Mama sensing their facetiousness. So Mama knows already, because the way they're talking and laughing, that they're being sarcastic. Facetious is just another way of being sarcastic. And she says, what's the matter with you all? Walter, ain't nothing the matter with us. We just telling you about the gentleman who came to see you this afternoon from the Clybourne Park Improvement Association. What he want. Now, automatically, Mama knows something is wrong. If somebody came from the Clybourne Park Improvement Association, I mentioned it yesterday and I'll say it again. When you buy a new home in whatever neighborhood you are going to, people don't come to your home where you are still living to invite you or to welcome you into the new home. No, that would just cost too much money to go around. It would be very difficult to do. The fact that they spent the time and money to find out where the Youngers live, and they sent this man, clearly all of the people of the neighborhood voted him to be the man to go and tell them this. It just shows you how badly they don't want them there. And Mama's smart enough to understand something is wrong here. She says, what do you want? Ruth, in the same mood as Benita and Walter. To welcome you, honey. Walter, he said they can't hardly wait. He said the one thing they don't have that they just dying to have out there is a fine family of fine colored people. To Ruth and Benita, ain't that right? Ruth, mockingly. Yeah, he left his card. Benita handing the card to Mama. In case. Mama reads it and throws it on the floor, understanding and looking off as she draws her chair up to the table on which she has put her plant and some sticks and some cord. So Mama knows, and I love the fact she throws his card on the floor. Now, me, I would rip it up and throw it away. But interestingly enough, it's actually that card is going to become important later on in the play when we will see when and why. But at this moment, you love Mama that she throws it on the floor. She says, we don't want to deal with this. And Mama, she says, Father, give us strength. Knowingly and without fun, did he threaten us? So the fun is gone. She's not joking anymore about it. The irony of him being on the welcome committee, that's not funny anymore, because now she realizes when it comes to white people in the 1940s and 50s and throughout her whole life, remember, she was born in the 1880s or 1890s, so she's dealt with this for her whole life. She knows that it's not just a warning, that oftentimes it comes with much more, whether it is a warning whether it is a threat or straight intimidation or worse, actual violence or damage being done to them. So she says, did he threaten us? And Benita, you got to love her answer. She says, oh, Mama, they don't do it like that anymore. He talked brotherhood. He said everybody ought to learn how to sit down and hate each other with good Christian fellowship. And it's funny. Benita is again being sarcastic, but that is kind of what he did. Remember, he sat down and he said, people just need to talk. And when people get together and they talk, well, then all the problems can be solved. And his way of talking to them was, okay, I'm talking to you and I'm telling you to leave or not to come. So in a weird way, he did kind of do what she just said. He said that we should hate each other with good Christian fellowship. She and Walter shake hands to ridicule the remark. Mama, sadly, Lord, protect us. Ruth, you should hear the money those folks raised to buy the house from us. All we paid and then some. And again, Ruth points it out. That's how much these people don't want the black people coming into their neighborhood, that they're actually willing to pay money to keep them out. And what does it say? Not only that they would do that, but that they would expect someone to take the money and sell their pride. Imagine if someone came to you and said, I don't think you belong in, I don't know, whatever college you want to go to. And they said, you know what? So that you don't go to that college because I don't want you to ruin it, I will give you extra money not to go. Imagine how little pride someone would have to actually take that money and not go to the college. That is absolutely unacceptable. Now, I've had some students over the years say what they should do is take that money, the extra money, sell the house, and then go with the extra money and buy another house in the neighborhood and then charge them more again. See, that doesn't work, because by taking the money, you're actually telling them, you're agreeing with them that you don't belong in their neighborhood, that they are right to purchase you off. Also, I don't believe the second time, if they did do it that way, I don't believe the second time they would do it with money. I think they would come with violence and intimidation. But Mama is certainly not about to sell out her pride to these people to show them that she is not worthy enough to live with them. It's quite the opposite. Mama knows she is worthy to live with them. She is an American, she is a human, and she deserves the same rights and protections and but dreams and outcomes as everybody else. Ruth, you should hear the money these folks raised to buy the house from us. All we paid and then some. Benita, what they think we're going to do? Eat them? Ruth, no, honey, marry him. Now, that is a very interesting statement. Benita is wondering out loud why they don't want us coming in there. Are they afraid we're going to eat them? Now, I think she was being sarcastic again about that. Benita's a very sarcastic person, especially when she's angry. She's a lot like me in that regard. But she's literally questioning why? What is so bad about us coming into their neighborhood? And Ruth has a very interesting answer. She says, no, honey, marry them. She says, and her insinuation, and I believe she's very right about this, is that the white people of that time period are afraid that if you bring black people into the neighborhood, that their kids are going to play with the black people and become friends with them, which is what happens, right? When I have a neighborhood, I walk down the street and I see different kids. I wanted to play with them when I was a kid. It didn't matter to me what color they were or where they came from. I just wanted to play. Hey, you want to play some basketball? Oh, you want to play some football with me? And then as you grew up with these people and you became friends, what happens when you become teenagers? You start dating each other, right? And then possibly you might fall in love and get married. And Ruth is pointing out that the thing that scares the white people the most is that their kids might not only befriend black people and not grow up to be racist the way they are, but that they might grow up and marry a black person and become part of the culture and bring that culture into them, which, by the way, is a wonderful thing. But that's what the white people are afraid of. It's a very mature statement by Ruth that she would say that. She said, no, honey, marry him. No, honey, marry him. Mama shaking her head. Lord, Lord, Lord. Ruth, well, that's the way the crackers crumble. A beat. Joke. Benita. Laughingly noticing what her mother is doing. Mama, what are you doing? Mama, fixing my plant so it won't get hurt none on the way. Mama, you going to take that to the new house? Uh-huh. That raggedy looking old thing? Mama stopping and looking at her. It expresses me. Now, remember this plant. Remember the one plant? We talked about it in the beginning of the plant. I've mentioned it throughout. What does that plant symbolize again to Mama? Remember, this plant that doesn't get much sunlight, that doesn't get much light or nurturing, right? Because it only has that one window and it's in this awful apartment building. Again, what does that plant symbolize? It symbolizes the family, right? And Mama, one of the first things she's doing to pack is she's packing up that plant that she's been taking care of for so long and that she loves, just like she loves her family, but in a different way, of course. It's just a plant. But she sees it that way as a symbol of her family. Of course, she's going to take it to the new house. Benita doesn't understand, right? She says, you're going to bring that thing with you to the new house? Oh, my God. And her response is, of course I'm going to. And the best thing is, what can she do with that plant when she takes it to the new house? She doesn't even have to stick it in a window. She can, if she wants to, stick it in one of the many windows. And by the way, don't forget, Ruth brought curtains for those windows, which was awesome, very symbolic as well, that they're going to have a house with multiple windows and light coming in. No. What can she do with it? She can plant that plant in the garden, in the backyard or the front yard, and it can become part of the property, part of the home. Same thing she wants to do with her family in that house. She wants to plant her family in that house. Now, I know I'm being metaphorical, of course. But that's how it's a symbol of the family, the plant. And the family, she's bringing the family there so it gets more light and more opportunities, more dreams, more love. Let's continue. Ruth with the light beneath us. So there, Miss Thing. Walter comes to Mama suddenly and bends down behind her and squeezes her in his arms with all his strength. Stop. Did you hear what just happened? Walter comes to Mama suddenly and bends down behind her and squeezes her in his arms with all his strength. So he gives Mama a stealth hug from behind. Have we seen Walter hugging anybody in this play? Up until this point, no. I mean, now that he's happy, we saw him dancing with Ruth, and we heard that they held hands at the movies, right? Because now he has his dream. But look what he just did. He comes up and he expresses his love to Mama. She is overwhelmed by the suddenness of it, and though delighted, her manner is like that of Ruth and Travis. So she's overwhelmed by the suddenness. She probably hasn't seen Walter act like this since he was a child, before he realized his dreams were deferred. In fact, I bet you Walter was a lot like Travis when Walter was a boy, right? Always very interested and excited and excited for his future and excited about his dreams. And then as he grew up and he realized that his dreams were never going to be allowed to him, that they were going to be oppressed and suppressed and deferred, that he turned into this other person, right? This negative and unhappy man, the person who has no dreams and, in his opinion, and no future. I think Travis is a lot. Is that's going to happen to Travis if Travis continues down the same path, if they stay in this apartment, if they don't move to the home, if they don't continue to fight for their rights, if they continue to have their dreams deferred. So now you have Walter and he's hugging Mama, and Mama's surprised by it. Listen, Mama, look out now, boy. You make me mess up my thing here. Walter, his face lit. He slips down on his knees beside her, his arms still about her. Listen, his face lit means it's lit with happiness and joy and life and dreams. And he says, Mama, you know what it means to climb up in the chariot? Mama gruffly. Very happy, though. Get on away from me now. So she's gruffly because she's just messing with him. Like, get out of here. Stop messing with me, boy. But she's happy because she has a happy son. Trust me, when you have children, you don't ever want to see your children upset or disappointed or sad or scared. Not ever. You want them to always be happy. You want them to have dreams. You want them to live and follow those dreams. And now Mama has a son who's doing that, and it makes her happy. Ruth, near the gift wrapped package, trying to catch Walter's eye. Psst, Walter, what the old song say, Mama? Ruth, Walter, now? She's pointing at the package. Walter speaking the lines sweetly, playfully in his mother's face. I got wings, you got wings, all God's children got wings. So look at this. Look at, now he's quoting scriptures about people being happy. I got wings, you got wings, all God's children got wings. What do you do with wings? You fly, right? You go even higher. And now Walter has his wings, his metaphorical wings, right? Because he believes he can go higher. He has a dream. This is amazing. It's very exciting, actually. And I'm happy for Walter, and Mama's happy for Walter. And Mama says, boy, get out of my face and do some work. Walter, when I get to heaven, gonna put on my wings, gonna fly all over God's heaven. Beneath it, teasingly from across the room. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Walter to Ruth. Sorry, I lost my spot. Walter to Ruth, who is carrying the box across to them. I don't know. You think we ought to give her that? Seems to me she ain't been very appreciative around here. So check it out. They have a present for Mama. They have a housewarming present. They have gone out and got something for Mama. Now I'm going to ask you all out there. Remember, not just having a home was Mama's dream, but she had another dream. Does anybody remember what it was? She didn't just want a home. She also wanted what for herself? A garden. So knowing that, what do you think the gift is to Mama? This is a really amazing and symbolic gift because they know Mama is now realizing her dreams and they want to support those dreams. So watch what they give her. Something to do with gardening, eyeing the box, which is obviously a gift. What is that? Walter taking it from Ruth and putting it on the table in front of Mama. Well, what you all think? Should we give it to her? Ruth, oh, she was pretty good today. Mama, I'll good you. She turns her eyes to the box again. Beneath it, open it, Mama. She stands up, looks at it, turns and looks at all of them, and then presses her hands together and does not open the package. Okay. Mama's getting emotional right now, and there's a couple of reasons why. We'll talk about the main reason in a second, but I just want to point out that she is savoring the moment. The idea that She has a dream and they're going to their home today. Today, they're moving into a home, a dream that she has had her entire life and the one that she shared with her husband who has passed away. And now, with his insurance money, she is able to go and realize that dream. Now it's even more. She's looking around at the fact that her kids are happy, all of them. I mean, think about where they were just a week ago. They were fighting huge time. Walter and Ruth were fighting like they were going to get a divorce. They were talking about aborting their child. Benita and Walter were fighting left and right. Benita and Ruth kind of had a little bit about where the baby was going to sleep and whatnot. So that Travis was chasing rats, right? Walter's got all of his problems. We know it. So Mama was watching the family fall apart just a week or two ago. And now it's quite the opposite. She sees not only are they together, but they are strong and happy together. Watch. Walter sweetly, open it, Mama. It's for you. Mama looks in his eyes. Listen to this sentence, ladies and gentlemen. OMG, it makes me sad and angry every time I read it. It is the first present in her life without it being Christmas. Now, that's a very, very powerful statement. It's the first time in her life she ever got a present when it wasn't Christmas, which means she's never been given a birthday present by her family. Now, I find that weird. I just do. Is it possible, and I've heard some students have opined this, they came up with this opinion, and it might be right, I don't know, it's very smart actually. It's possible that Mama doesn't even know what her birthday is. Because back in those days, Black people, in the 1880s and 90s, were not treated the same way. And it's possible that they didn't celebrate the birth of these people, of Black people, of these children, of these new children, because they were Black. So one way to show that they're not really that human, one way for the white people to show that they were less than they were. And by the way, again, I don't believe any of this. I'm just talking about the way they felt at that time. In fact, this gets me really mad, is by not allowing them birthdays and to know when they were born or to celebrate their own births. Oh, how awful is that? So Mama's never gotten a gift except it being Christmas. This is her first time. This is huge for her. Slowly, she opens her package and lifts out one by one a brand new sparkling set of gardening tools. Walter continues, prodding. Ruth made up the note. Read it. Mama picking up the card and adjusting her glasses. To our own Mrs. Miniver. Love from brother Ruth and Benita. Ain't that lovely? Now, I am not sure about Miss Miniver. Let's find out what that means. Let's do a quick Google search and let's type in, who is Miss Miniver? Let's see if it comes up. Maybe it's an old thing, right? Miniver, a 1942 American romantic war drama, and starring by showing the film shows how the life of an unassuming British housewife in Royal England is touched by World War II. So it was just a famous movie at the time period. I'm not quite sure what it means in the purpose of this play. Maybe I can look it up real quick. I'm going to show you how I do this. Miniver, and then I would type in Raisin in the Sun, and maybe we can find out who is Miss Miniver in A Raisin in the Sun. Oh, it doesn't really tell me why. Just that she was a famous actress of the time, I think by him just saying that, look at our own Mrs. Miniver, he's just complimenting her. That she's that she's famous. Maybe I don't know if it's about famous, but that she's somebody now, right? That she has a dream and she's somebody. That's the way I'm going to look at it. Let's continue. To our own Mrs. Miniver, love from brother Ruth and Benita. Ain't that lovely? Travis tugging at his father's sleeve. Daddy, can I give her mine now? All right, son. Travis flies to get his gift. Mama, now I don't have to use my knives and forks no more. Stop. What is Mama referring to about using her knives and forks no more? What does Mama use her knives and forks for? For her gardening. She doesn't have her own gardening tools, probably because they didn't have a garden. Also because, why buy gardening tools when you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a garden to even use them with? This is huge, the fact that Walter and them buy her these tools. Now she has them. But I also want to point out one thing, just so you know, side thing, that is not crazy about people using knives and forks. I will tell you, the day that my wife and I moved into our house, and I always think about this when I read this play, the first thing my grandmother did when she came to my house was she looked at me and she said, "Where's the garden?" And I said, "Excuse me, what, Oma?" And she said, "Where's the garden? I'm going outside. I'm going to find your garden." And I said, "Okay." And that was literally the first thing she came and did. She came inside and she came back in and she said, "Where's the silverware?" And I said, wait a minute, we're just getting pizza. You don't need any silverware. And she said, no, I need knives and forks and spoons so I can go out and work your garden. And that's what she did. She took knives and forks and spoons and she went outside, and I went out and I watched her, and she was using them to dig up her garden. And my garden, but she saw it as hers. And it's so funny that she reminds me so much of Mama, my grandmother. And her dream always was to have her own home and also to have her own garden. I always think of Oma when I think of Mama. Very similar to each other. It's pretty cool. So that is not so crazy or unheard of to use knives and forks no more. But I also want to point out that Travis went and got Mama his own gift for her. Think about that, a 10-year-old boy, and he went out and spent, probably doesn't have much money, right? But he wanted to get his grandmother a gift. And also, it's going to be very symbolic towards having her own garden. Listen, Travis racing back in the room. I'm sorry, Walter. Travis didn't want to go in with the rest of us, Mama. He got his own, somewhat amused. We don't even know what it is. Travis racing back in the room with a large hat box and put it in front of his grandmother. Here, Mama, Lord have mercy, baby. You done gone and bought your grandmother a hat? Travis, very proud. Open it. She does and lifts out an elaborate, but very elaborate, wide gardening hat. And all the adults break up at the sight of it. So he got her this like giant hat that's probably too big for her. But again, you never talk badly about a gift given to you by somebody that you love, even by somebody that you hate, because they're being thoughtful to you. So you don't diss it. Even if you hate the gift, you don't diss that gift. You say, oh, this is wonderful. I love it, especially when it comes from a child. Children, I mean, this could crush him if she messes with him. So this hat is too big. I don't know why you got it from. No, it's quite the opposite. Look how proud he was to give it to her. And he's proud because A, he's giving her a gift, but B, because it's symbolic of the dream of the garden. Listen, Ruth, Travis, honey, what is that? Travis, who thinks it is beautiful and appropriate. It's a garden hat, like the ladies always have on in the magazines when they work in their gardens. Beneatha giggling fiercely. Travis, we're trying to make Mama Mrs. Miniver, not Scarlett O'Hara. Okay, so Scarlett O'Hara is another famous actress from the time. So they're just giving references of actresses from the time. So don't worry about that. Mama indignantly, what's the matter with you all? And by the way, I think Beneatha, by giggling and saying like Scarlett O'Hara, he was kind of mocking that hat. She's kind of mocking the hat. And Mama's not going to allow that to happen, not to her grandson. What's the matter with you all? This here is a beautiful hat. Absurdly. I always wanted me one just like it. She pops it on her head to prove it to her grandson, and the hat is ludicrous and considerably oversized. Hot dog, go, Mama. Walter doubled over with laughter. I'm sorry, Mama, but you look like you're ready to go out and chop you some cotton, sure enough. They all laughed except Mama, out of deference to Travis's feelings. Mama gathering up the boy to her. Bless your heart, this is the prettiest hat I ever owned. Walter, Ruth, and Beneatha chime in noisily, festively, and insincerely congratulating Travis on his gift. What are we all standing around here for? We ain't finished packing yet. Benny, you ain't packed one book. The bell rings. Beneatha, that couldn't be the movers. It's not hardly too good yet. Now remember, the movers weren't supposed to show up until 4. And now it's probably like around 1:30. It's not even 2 yet. And yet there's somebody at the door. So Beneatha's curious. I don't understand why the movers wouldn't get here early. We're paying them by the hour. So Beneatha goes into her room. Mama starts for the door. Walter turning, stiffening. Wait. I'll get it. Time out. Walter turning and stiffening. In other words, he was waiting for this visitor. Listen, wait, I'll get it. He stands and looks at the door. You expecting company, son? Walter just looking at the door. Yeah. Check this out. So Walter goes to the door, but he doesn't open it. He's just staring at the door, which is quite strange because you know somebody's on the other end and is knocking. So why isn't Walter letting them in? What is he doing? It's like he's catching his breath before he opens the door. Now, is he nervous about who's on the other side of the door? It doesn't seem like he's nervous. It almost seems like he's excited. Let's see. Walter just looking at the door. Yeah. Mama looks at Ruth and they exchange innocent and unfrightened glances. Mama, not understanding. Well, let them in, son. Beneatha from her room. We need some more string. Mama, Travis, you run to the hardware and get me some string cord. Mama goes out and Walter turns and looks at Ruth. Travis goes to a dish for money. Ruth, why don't you answer the door, man? Walter, suddenly bounding across the floor to embrace her, because sometimes it's hard to let the future begin. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Ruth said to her husband, dude, why aren't you opening the door, man? And he turns away from the door, bounds across to, which means he like not runs to her, but it's like kind of like a skip. It's like a happy motion to her. And he says to her, because sometimes it's hard to let the future begin. So Walter believes that on the other side of that door is his future, and he believes it's a good future, right? Because that's why he bounded over to his wife. In fact, look at what he says. I got wings, you got wings, all God's children got wings. And then he goes back into his, I don't know what the word is for it. It's not a prayer so much as his song. Let's just say that he goes back to his happy song. And remember, this song, I got wings, you got wings, all got children got wings. Again, we talked about it before when he was saying it. It shows you that he believes he's got a future. He's going to fly high into this future. He's got dreams. He crosses to the door and throws it open. Oh, by the way, I just want to point it out. He said, because sometimes it's hard to let the future begin. Walter believes that his future is on the other side of that door, and he believes it's a good future. He is right about one of those parts. His future is on the other side of that door. It's very important what's about to happen, but I'm telling you now, it is not good. He crosses to the door and throws it open. Standing there is a very slight little man in a not too prosperous business suit and with haunted, frightened eyes and a hat pulled down tightly, brim up around his forehead. May I say this again? A slight little man in a not too prosperous business suit. So he's wearing a suit, but when they say not too prosperous, it's probably old and ratty. Maybe it's got holes or it's wrinkled. So he doesn't look like he's a real businessman in front of you, right? But notice more. With haunted, frightened eyes. Haunted, frightened eyes. Now, why is he haunted and why is he frightened? Is it because he's in this neighborhood, in this building? I don't think so. I think the news that he has is frightening to him, and it haunts him what he's about to say. Listen. Travis passes between the men and exits. Remember, Travis is going to the hardware store to pick up some cord so they can finish tying their boxes. Walter leans deep in the man's face, still in his jubilance. So check it out. Walter is so excited and happy. He doesn't realize, he doesn't sense the problem here. He doesn't sense and see this man's in his doorway expression on his face of haunted and frightened expression on his face. And right in the man's face, he says, when I get to heaven, going to put on my wings, going to fly all over God's heaven. The little man just stares at him. Heaven. Suddenly he stops and looks past the little man into the empty hallway. Where's Willie, man? So Walter, in his happiness, still hasn't seen the look of fright and scared look in the man's face, but he has noticed something. Willie Harris is not with him. I'm guessing that this person in the doorway is Bobo, because remember, he was supposed to do business with Willie and with Bobo, and he's saying, where's Willie, man? So what's about to happen here? Bobo, he ain't with me. Walter, not disturbed. Oh, come on in. You know my wife. So Walter, he doesn't sense any problems yet. I think he should. A, Willie's not there, and he should be. And B, Bobo looks like there's something wrong with him. Oh, come on in, man. You know my wife. Bobo, dumbly taking off his hat. Yes, how you, Miss Ruth. Now, they're not calling Bobo dumb when they say dumbly, saying how you, Miss Ruth. It's just the way he's saying it. You can tell there's something wrong with him, something very wrong with him. Ruth, quietly, a mood quite apart from her husband already, seeing Bobo. Notice that Ruth, she senses it right away. A mood apart from her husband already. So Walter's still in his fantastic, jubilant mood. Ruth, no. Seeing Bobo, seeing his face, hearing what he just said, hearing how he said it, noticing that Willie's not there. Ruth knows there's a problem. Ruth knows instinctively there's a problem. Hello, Bobo. Walter, you right on time today. Right on time. That's the way. He slaps Bobo on his back. Sit down. Let me hear. So again, Walter believes that Bobo is here with good news. No, in fact, he's here with great news. Listen. Ruth stands stiffly and quietly in back of them, as though somehow she senses death, her eyes fixed on her husband. I'm going to read that again. Ruth stands stiffly and quietly behind them, as though somehow she senses death. That's how serious the situation is. She feels like somebody has died. I mean, can it get any worse than death? Her eyes are fixed on her husband, Bobo, his eyes, his frightened eyes on the floor, his hat in his hands. Again, his frightened eyes on the floor, his hat. He won't even look them in the eyes. When people won't look you in the eyes, then they have really bad news. He says, could I please get a drink of water before I tell you about it, Walter Lee? Walter does not take his eyes off the man. Ruth goes blindly to the tap and gets a glass of water and brings it to Bobo. There ain't nothing wrong, is there? Now, Walter finally has realized something is wrong. Bobo, let me tell you. Man, did nothing go wrong? Walter, now he knows for sure something is wrong because he's expecting Bobo to be not just with Willie Harris, but he's also supposed to be in here happy, right? Bobo should be at the door jubilant and dancing and skipping and singing just like Walter, right? But he's not. Let me tell you, Walter Lee, looking at Ruth and talking to her more than to Walter. You know how it was. I got to tell you how it was. I mean, first, I got to tell you how it was all the way. I mean, about the money I put in, Walter Lee. Walter, with taut agitation now. Okay, so now Walter knows there's something wrong. Taut agitation. It's like a rubber band that is pulled all the way. That's taut, right? And it means that he could snap at any minute right now. Back to being agitated. Listen, what about the money you put in? Bubba, well, it wasn't much as we told you, me and Willie. He stops. I'm sorry, Walter. I got a bad feeling about it. I got a real bad feeling about it. Man, what you telling me all this for? Tell me what happened in Springfield. Springfield. Ruth, like a dead woman. What was supposed to happen in Springfield? Bobo, to her. This deal that me and Walter went into with Willie. Me and Willie was going to go down to Springfield and spread some money around so as we wouldn't have to wait so long for the liquor license. That's what we were going to do. Everybody said that was the way you had to do it. You understand, Miss Ruth? Man, what happened down there? Bobo, a pitiful man, near tears, trying to tell you, Walter. Walter screaming at him suddenly, then tell me, God damn it, what's the matter with you? Bobo, man, I didn't go to no Springfield yesterday. Halted, life hanging in the moment. Why not? The long way, the hard way to tell. Because I didn't have no reasons to. Man, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that when I got to the train station yesterday morning, 8 o'clock, like we planned, man, Willie didn't never show up. All right, that is where we're going to stop today. I would love to keep reading because this part is just so dramatic and important. I think you're all understanding what happened, though. What did Walter do with the $6,500 that Mama gave him? Now remember, he was supposed to give how much of it to an account for beneath the school. He was supposed to put $3,000 into a savings account for beneath the school, and nothing was supposed to touch that, nothing. And then she gave him the other $3,500, and she said, you do it with what you see fit. Can everybody out there, can you guess what Walter did with the money? Yes, he gave it to Willie Harris and Bobo for them to go down to Springfield and start spreading it around, like Bobo just said, bribing people so that they can get their liquor licenses and whatnot. But Bobo just said, Willie never showed up. So what does that mean? We're going to pick it up there from tomorrow. I think you guys all have a good idea what has happened here, and it is not good. We'll pick it up from there tomorrow. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you very much.